And then we'll dive right. So, good evening, everybody. It is great to have you guys here live on the call. I hope you've all had a good day. The weather has been amazing where I am today. I hope it's been good for you as well. We're doing a bit of a call on mindset. It's not going to be too long this week. I want it to sort of be short, sharp, but hopefully helpful and actionable and as helpful to you guys as possible. We're talking about how to stop starting over every Monday. This is a really common thing that I see is when it comes to being on a weight loss journey and having a long-term goal, when you want to lose, 20 kgs plus, being stuck in this cycle of feeling like you're good Monday to Friday, but then the weekends come, the weekends unravel you a bit, and you constantly feel like you are starting over. So we're going to really talk mainly about that today. So it's about learning how to build real consistency that actually lasts. Like I said, not feeling like you can only stick to things for 5 days, but actually you can stick to things 7 days a week, every day when it comes to hitting your goals. So the pattern that most people are stuck in when it comes to health and fitness and making a big transformation, saying things like, "Oh, I'll just start fresh again Monday," or "This week wasn't very good, I'm just going to need to do a reset," or "I've messed it up now anyway, so I might as well just be off for the rest of the week and then kick back with things on Monday." If you're stuck in that cycle, and if you're someone that says that to yourself quite a lot, what often happens is you're in a cycle of starting really strong on Monday, feeling like you're on top of the world and that you can do it all. Something happens midweek, something goes wrong, life's really busy, as it always is. You have a bit of a slip up. That slip up causes you to just come away from everything completely and give up, and then repeating that cycle constantly. It's not you and you're not the problem. It's that loop and that mindset that is the problem. And it's an incredibly annoying and frustrating and difficult place to be in because you never really see results and you never actually really see the results that you're looking for physically and mentally because you are just constantly on this never-ending hamster wheel of stopping and starting. And this is why a lot of people kind of give up as well because they get really sick of feeling like they're consistent for a few days and then they just fall off the wagon. That's why most people feel like, oh, I've tried this before. I've tried sticking to my health and fitness before, but it's never stuck. I've never been able to do it long term. It is usually because people are sort of in this mindset and in this loop all the time. So we're going to learn about how to break that today and how to kind of reset your mindset on that. So the reason why this keeps happening, it's not a motivation issue. I talk to you guys about motivation a lot, but you don't need to have infinite motivation to be successful in this journey. You're also just not going to be motivated, and that is really normal. I woke up this morning and went for my gym session at 7 a.m. I've decided to do just a little local comp at my gym. My gym runs quite a lot of fitness comps and things, and I've always said no to doing them. But I decided to call out my behavior and be like, right, I keep saying no to things. The reason why I'm saying no to doing this comp is because I'm scared and because I think I'm not going to do very well. And I was letting all these limiting beliefs creep in. This still happens for me, even though I'm like, 7 or 8 years into this process now. So therefore, I'm doing more training. I woke up at 7 a.m. to go in for my gym session and I just didn't want to go in. I would dragged myself in this morning, and I would say more often than not, in all honesty, I am dragging myself in to get my workouts done. I'm dragging myself into the kitchen to meal prep something. I don't feel motivated that often. I'm telling you guys this because I don't want you to feel like there's something wrong with you or you're not a fitness person or you're not a sporty person just because you don't feel motivated. It's really normal, and I don't know anybody that feels motivated most of the time. Even people that are like elite level athletes, I don't know anyone that just wakes up motivated. So it's not a motivation issue, and you don't need to have bucket loads of motivation to be successful. But the reason why you're stuck in this loop, or why a lot of people are stuck in this loop, is because maybe you suffer from all or nothing thinking. You think that unless you're doing things 100% and it's blood, sweat, and tears all the way through, there's no point. You're setting unrealistic expectations and unrealistic goals. I am all for setting big goals, and I'm a very firm believer that if you are setting goals that don't scare you a little bit, they're not big enough. However, for me, for example, it would be crazy for me to say I'm going to run a marathon in 2 weeks. That's just like pretty crazy and pretty unrealistic considering I'm a terrible runner. And it's like, whoa, 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 we've got to kind of build up to that point. So setting unrealistic expectations on yourself in that way. Emotional decision making is a big thing keeping you back as well. Leading with emotion in this process rather than leading with data and logic sometimes. And just lack of structure as well. Not having a structure that fits with your week, not having something that allows you to create structure and for you to be able to look after yourself whilst balancing your life and not trying to shoehorn your life into this program, for example. If your plan currently only works on a perfect week, it isn't going to work in real life because there is very rarely going to be a perfect week. Perfect weeks are very few and far between. Let's talk about the all or nothing thinking, all or nothing mindset, first of all. So this mindset sounds like if I can't do it perfectly, what's the point? I'm already over all my calories. I might as well just come away from it completely and just go all in and just eat the entire packet of biscuits. Or this day or this week is just completely ruined. This all or nothing thinking really gets in the way and really holds you back. And it's also quite negative, I think. I think we think, oh yeah, like I've got to work hard and I've got to push and I've got to really grind. But I sometimes think that does more harm than good and it can actually get a bit aggressive and a bit too aggressive. I think sometimes we need to just alleviate the pressure a bit and step back and zoom out and realize at the end of the day, it's counting calories and it's workout. So it doesn't have to be quite so serious. It doesn't quite have to be so black and white thinking. The truth is that the one meal off plan is not going to do anything to affect your progress, and one missed workout isn't going to affect it either. It's that loop of getting frustrated to a point where you quit that does affect things. The real cost of starting over and being stuck in this starting on Monday cycle, every time you restart, you lose momentum, you lose confidence in yourself and confidence in your ability. You reinforce the habit of quitting and you reinforce that you try for a few days and then you quit. And you just stay stuck in that same cycle. The longer it goes on, the harder it is to break out of it and the harder it is to trust yourself as well. A lot of times when we feel like we constantly stop and start, we lose self-belief and we lose self-trust in the process and self-trust in ourselves as well. So the longer this goes on, the bigger that gap sort of comes in between those. Here's the shift that is going to change everything for you. You don't have to keep starting over. You actually need to do the complete opposite. Even if it feels like you need to start over, what you need to do is actually just carry on. So instead of telling yourself, I'm just going to start again Monday, what you actually need to think is getting back on track quicker and being more adaptable and more able to bounce back. So start saying, I will just get back on track at my next meal, even if that meal is 6 p.m. on a Saturday rather than 8 a.m. on a Monday. I'll get back on track. I'll show up anyway. That shift and that mindset shift is very small, but it really will change everything for you. I want to talk to you about the 24-hour rule. This is your new rule to all of you guys watching this. No matter what happens, no matter where in the week you are, no matter what's happened before, no matter what's happening after, if something happens and something goes wrong, you are back on track within 24 hours. No overly restricting anything, not punishing yourself for what might have happened, what might have gone wrong. No overcompensating on things to make up for it. You know, a classic example of that is if you go over your calories by a couple of hundred, you suddenly go, I'm going in the gym and I'm going to run on the treadmill for an extra hour so that I burn off the calories, for example. That actually isn't what happens in our bodies anyway. I'm just using this as an example. The kind of like eating to then burn it off on the treadmill doesn't actually work and it's not how our bodies work anyway. But even so, even if something does go wrong, you don't have to overcompensate or make up for that. You just need to get back to normal. And the thing I've put here is success loves speed. This is such a good mantra to live by. I think that in a lot of cases, we would be more successful at things, we would be less stressed, and we would feel better about things if we stopped overthinking so much and if we actually just committed to taking action a bit faster. I think that the most successful people in this game are not the people that are like the best at training in the gym or the best with nutrition or the smartest or whatever it might be. I think the people that do the best are the people that are the most adaptable and they get stuff done quickly. They don't overthink, they don't overly question. They just think, you know what, I'm just going to get back on track as fast as I can. If it's not perfect, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to get back to it and just do something. I think those people are the people that always end up doing the best in this game. So success loves speed. And if you take anything away from this call, I would love it to be that mantra because it really helps me. It not only really helps me with my health and fitness journey. Sometimes when I'm in my feelings and I'm like, I don't want to go in the gym and I don't want to do it, I just kind of have that rip the band-aid mentality and I think just go in and just get it done and just get it done quick. this has also really helped me just in terms of running a business as well. Because when I first started coaching, I thought it was just coaching. And then I realized, oh, actually, you've kind of got to run an entire business. And there was lots of things I didn't know how to do. But I thought, you know what? There's a lot of things I don't know. There's a lot of things I'm going to have to learn on my feet. But I'm just going to commit to taking action fast and just getting stuff done. And I think that really helps with health and fitness, but I think it helps with everything. And it's a really great mantra to live by. And I know that's really helped me. So if you take anything away from this, take that mantra away with you. This is what getting back on track actually means. It does not mean perfection. Like I just said, you do not have to be perfect in this game. You just need to focus on being as consistent as you can. It just means when something goes wrong, you just eat your next planned meal. You get back to hitting your protein. You get your steps in, or you show up to your next workout. It is about taking small, simple actions quickly. And it's not actually a big dramatic shift, and it's not a big dramatic thing about getting back on track. In a lot of cases, you actually just don't want to deep it too much and just think, okay, well, I've gone a bit off track. Is it the end of the world? No, something's gone a bit wrong. I'm just going to commit to getting back on track as soon as I can. Stop making it worse for yourself. This is something that I really want to make clear to you guys. Most people turn a small slip into a big problem. So, one meal off plan, people get upset, they get in their head about it. It becomes an entire day off plan because then you're in your feelings and then you're using food as a comfort blanket. One day can then very easily become a whole week off program as well. And it's because of this one thought. I've already messed it up, so what's the point? That mindset and that thought is the problem for you. It's not the food that isn't tracked and the meal that you've had at someone's house that you can't log, and it's not the missed workout either. It is that mindset is making things harder and making things worse for you. So your new rule, we talked about the 24-hour rule, but your new rule here is never miss twice. You will miss things once sometimes. You will forget to log a meal. You will miss a workout because work is just too busy, or your kids are sick, or whatever it might be. You will have a day where you have a day where you're so busy at work that you don't get all your steps in. You will miss once, sometimes, more than sometimes, probably fairly regularly. But just don't commit to missing twice and do not miss twice. So if you miss one workout, do not miss two. Get the next one done and try to do your best to get that done no matter what. If you've overeaten, get back on plan with the very next meal, regardless of what's happened. The consistency that you're looking for and breaking that cycle is always built in the comeback. And it is about learning to be adaptable and just resilient as hell. That is what is the key here. I want to talk about the floor versus the ceiling. This is a really good metaphor for you guys to use in those weeks where you are crazy busy. So, when we talk about the floor versus the ceiling, this is good for you to use on those hard days. When you have a really hard day where everything goes wrong, I don't want you to quit. I just want you to think, I'm going to lower the bar. So, what is your ceiling and what is your floor? Your ceiling in this metaphor is going to be when you have a perfect day where you have nothing go wrong, life is great, you get everything ticked off in this process. You smash your workout, all the food is tracked, steps are done, good sleep, lots of water. If you have times where life is really hectic, you're not going to be able to get your ceiling in. You're not going to be able to complete everything that's in your ceiling plan. Instead, you need to have a floor plan. So your floor is lower. So it might be just two or three things that you are like, okay, no matter how crazy life is, no matter how busy life gets, I'm going to make sure that I get my floor done. So that might be getting some steps in, even if it's not your full target. It might be getting in one workout that week rather than three. It might be not being able to track all of your food, but making sure that you've tracked your protein and you've included protein with every meal. You need to have a ceiling and a floor so that when you have those moments, because you will have those moments, when you're really busy, when those little voices in your head think, oh, what's the point? Just sack it all off because you can't get X, Y, Z done. You actually think, you know what? No, this isn't a ceiling week. This is a floor week. And this is what I'm going to do. So instead of perfect diet, aim for protein. Instead of a full workout, do 20 minutes. Instead of 10K steps, do 6K steps or whatever your step goal is. Something always beats nothing. And I think a massive misconception with health and fitness is that you have to do everything perfectly. And if you don't do it all perfectly, you're not going to get results. It's actually the opposite. You are so much better off trying to be consistent 100% of the time and having some slip ups in the mix there, rather than trying to aim for unrealistic and unattainable perfection that you can only really keep up for like a week. Because that week of perfection, you're then going to go, I'm way too overwhelmed. This is too much. You're going to fall off the wagon and then have like 2 weeks off. Whereas if you actually think, I'm just going to aim for being consistent, you'll stick at that long term. So your floor versus your ceiling is something really helpful to live by. What you also need to do is just build self-trust. We talked about that a bit earlier in the call. But every time that you follow through, you show up anyway, even if you don't feel like it, and you stick to your word, that is the best way for you to build self-trust. A lot of people say, like, how do I build my self-esteem? How do I build my confidence? What do I do? I personally think that the best way to build up self-trust and confidence and self-esteem is to, as much as you can, continuously try to follow through on the promises that you've made for yourself. And that is the best way. But also, it's also the fastest way to break your self confidence and break your self trust if you break those promises often. Fat loss becomes a lot easier when you trust yourself. So, what you need to commit to doing is not restarting every Monday, accepting that things are going to go wrong, but committing to following through and showing up and getting back after 24 hours and not missing twice. That needs to be your mindset, and that's what you need to focus on. When you do that, even if you do have a couple of mistakes in the mix here and there, you then start to build a stack of undeniable proof that you are who you say you are. You are someone that shows up to the gym and gets their workouts done. You are someone that logs their food and tracks their food. You are someone who says and does what they say they're going to do. You are someone that doesn't just speak empty quotes into the atmosphere saying, yeah, I want to go to the gym. Yeah, I want to lose weight. You are someone that actually follows through and takes that action. That is the best way to build self-trust. But the flip of that, if you're someone that always kind of talks the talk and you don't walk the walk, that is also how you completely shatter your self-trust. So this is just something to really bear in mind when it comes to this process. Why this matters more than any diet. You don't fail because of extra chocolate, takeaways, busy weeks. You fail because you let it cause you to stop, or you let it make you stop. You let it cause you to stop in your tracks and think, oh, I've made a mistake. I'm now completely off the process. So if you fix this pattern, and if you are willing to be honest with yourself and think, yeah, I'm someone that does that. I'm someone that can't really handle right now when I do make a mistake. I really beat myself up and I get in my own head and I get in my feelings about it. If you're really honest with yourself and you recognize that you do those things and you're someone that has those patterns, if you fix this pattern, you recognize it when it's there and you push it down, everything else becomes easier. And I can promise you on that. So, what progress actually looks like, and I want you guys to really take note of this because progress does not just look like a linear graph. I say this to you guys about your weight all the time. You would be crazy to think that your weight is just going to shoot down on the scales in a perfect straight line. That is never going to happen, no matter who you are. What actually happens is that weight-wise, you're going to have fluctuations, as most of you know who have been here for a while. Your weight will go up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down all the time. It's very normal, but it will trend down over time. And that's what progress on the scales looks like. But that's what progress in life actually looks like as well. It's never just smooth sailing all the way coasting through. There's going to be peaks and troughs, ups and downs, highs and lows, but you will go up over time. So real progress looks like slipping up, making a mistake, getting back on track quickly, slipping up again a little bit of time after that, and then just recovering quicker and quicker and quicker and becoming more adaptable and more resilient each time. Over time, if you can commit to that more abundant, less stressed out mindset, the gap between mistakes gets smaller and the ability to bounce back from them goes through the roof. It takes a bit of time, but it's 100% possible. So, your new identity, and what I want you guys to really think about is I want you to start thinking like this. I want you to start thinking, I'm someone who doesn't quit. And I want you to shed the identity of someone just saying, oh, I'm just kind of trying to be a bit consistent at the moment. Your identity drives behavior. That's why this process and what you guys are doing here isn't just workouts and calorie goals. You guys know that have been here for a while, it runs a lot deeper on that. That's why we talk so much about mindset. We talk about things like self-sabotage, self-limiting beliefs, habits, all that sort of stuff. That's because if you want to be someone that truly has a transformation that you don't just keep temporarily, you keep permanently, identity shift has to come with that because your identity and how you view yourself drives your behavior. As people, we like to behave in a way and act in a way that matches with how we feel in our heads and the things that we tell ourselves. When we don't, like when we say one thing and do another, like when we say, I want to do this, let's say I want to go to the gym and then we don't go to the gym, that's why we kind of that's when things really breaks down identity wise and we can't really handle that saying like I do one thing and I do something else. Your identity drives that behavior, so you need to act like that person even when it's really tough, showing up as that dream version of you in those moments, thinking, okay, I've had a bit of a slip up here. My instinct right now is telling me to throw in the towel and give up like I used to in the past. I want you to then override that thought and think, actually, okay, my instinct right now is telling me to do that, but I know that in the past that hasn't served me because it hasn't brought me the result I'm looking for. So instead, that dream version of me, what would they do? What do you think they would do in this moment? Would they throw in the towel? Would they say, sack it off, go and get a McDonald's or go and get a pizza and just do whatever the hell you want for the rest of the weekend, start again on Monday? No, they wouldn't. They would say, get straight back on track within 24 hours. Take that step and just commit to doing it. It's about your identity shifting and driving that behavior and identifying as that person that can do this process, that can stick at things long term. So, the final thing I want you guys to do is just a bit of self reflection. So, for those of you listening live and watching back on the call as well, I want you to ask yourself, when do I usually fall off? Start to notice if there's a bit of a pattern there. Is there something that happens in life that causes me to be thrown off my game? In those moments when it happens, what do I tell myself when it happens? What negative thoughts come in? Do you have someone in the back of your head that's kind of telling you, like, oh, see, you can't stick at this long term. I knew you couldn't, or you've never been able to do this before. What makes you think you're going to be able to do it now? And all this stuff. Like, what thoughts come up, and what do I actually say to myself when this happens? Then the third thing is that dream version of you. What would a really resilient version of me do next? What would their answer be? Or, if this was you talking to a friend and a friend was asking for advice, what would you tell your friend? That's also a really cool way to look at it. Be really honest about that and write that down because that's where change starts. It's about noticing the patterns, noticing the identity you currently have with that sort of thing, recognizing it, and then reframing it. So, the final message for you guys, you absolutely do not need to be perfect in this journey. And I could not want to make that any clearer to you guys. It's such a big mindset shift that so many people need to shed. Thinking that it has to be perfect, and if it's not perfect, what's the point? This mindset really needs to be shed because even though it seems like it's a good thing because you're expecting a lot of yourself, it actually really holds you back. Rather than that, you just need fewer restarts. And when you do have a restart, you need to make them short and you need to make the gap between stopping and starting as small as possible. Every time you don't quit, every time you override those little thoughts in the back of your head that are telling you to quit and like telling you to go back into old behaviors and old patterns, every time you ignore those and you commit to following through and carrying on, you get closer and closer and closer to that result. And a massive benefit is that as well is that this process is just a lot more fun. Like you're not just going to have sunshine and rainbows all the way through this process, of course not. Weight loss, muscle gain, changing your physique, and as a result, going on a really big mental transformation journey. It's not just going to be amazing the whole way through, and it's not just going to be plain sailing. Of course not. Like life, there's going to be ups and downs, but this mindset shift and this identity shift is really good because it does help you to take a bit of pressure off yourself and just remember that you can have fun in this journey a bit as well. I feel like we can forget that because we want the result, we want the result so badly. I think we forget that it can be fun. Going to the gym at the end of the day is basically just an adult playground. It can be really fun. Cooking yourselves nutritious meals, like, yes, logging your food isn't always the most fun thing, but like, cooking can be fun. Cooking meals for your family that are healthy and nutritious can be a fun thing. Going out for a walk, whether it's on your own or with the dog or with people, like that can kind of be really fun as well, especially now we're coming into spring and summer. Thank God, it's a lot more fun. But this process helps us to shed sometimes that unnecessary pressure that comes from within us. And it reminds us that this journey does have tough moments, but it doesn't have to be blood, sweat, and tears the whole way through, and it doesn't have to be completely miserable. There can be some light and shade in there. There can be some really fun moments, and there can be some really fun times. And I would always really encourage you guys to try to find the joy in the process of becoming the person that you want to be as much as possible. Because, if you only chase a result, even when you get to that result that you once dreamed of, you'll just want something else. Like you'll never be fully happy and you're never done in this journey as well. Like we think, oh, when I get to this weight, I'll be happy and I'll be done. You won't be. There'll be something else you want to fix. You'll get to your goal weight and then you go, oh, okay, well, now I want abs. Oh, okay, well, now I want bigger glutes, or now I want to tone my legs or get toned arms, whatever it might be. You're never going to be done. There's always going to be something else you want to do. It's just, I think, how we're wired. We are tough on ourselves. So you need to try and find the enjoyment in this process as much as possible. And this call today will really help you with that because sometimes we put a little bit of unnecessary pressure on ourselves and it doesn't come from anyone else but yourself sometimes. And that overwhelm can kind of come just because we are so harsh on ourselves. So I hope this call has been really helpful. Bit of a mindset shift and bit of a mindset reset. It is really important that you guys do this work to learn how to unpick these things because some of you might have had these beliefs and habits mindset wise for a long time as well. So they don't just magically go away overnight. They take a little bit of time to unpick, but it's worth doing because it creates a much happier, healthier version of yourself mentally as well as physically. So it's been really great to see so many of you guys on the call. We'll be back to 6:30 normal time next week. Obviously, I just had to move it because I was chatting to our wedding coordinators today, and that was very important. So back to 6:30 as always next week. If you guys have any further questions about this, you know where I am. Just drop me a message on WhatsApp, and I can definitely talk to you about that. But have a great evening, everyone. It's been really good to have you all here, and have a good one.